everybody. Oh, yeah, you can clap if you want to. Not that important. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. I know it's cold outside, but this is important. Study abroad. Now, how many of you, I'm speaking to all engineers, all E3 students, bridge students, correct? Okay, I'm a talker, so please participate. Okay, how many of you have been abroad before? Okay, all right. On what type of, like just with family or study or? With family. Okay, with family. And you? Study. Where'd you go?
The Spain and Italy trip.
Spain and Italy. Oh, I know that one. Okay, good deal. A faculty-led program. All right, we'll talk a little bit about those today. I've got some vets out here. Timilolua. Singapore and India. Okay. Any others? Who did I miss? Mexico. It's a good one. Others. Okay, so great. We've already got some international experience in the room. All right, so I've traveled abroad quite a bit. I was a student at UC myself. Studied abroad 3 times. But while here at UC, my first semester in Dubai. I did a work abroad in Bahrain with the U.S. Department of State. And then lastly, an experience in Amman, Jordan, right? So I was international affairs Arabic major, not an engineer. But today we're here to talk about the range of opportunities that UC offers for all kinds of different majors, not just the humanities, not just the social sciences, which tends to be the general thought process of most people. Now, here at UC, I know when I started in the office about 5 years ago, we were sending maybe 800 students abroad a year. Now we're close to 1,400 students abroad. The UC 2019 goal is 1,700 students. We maybe had 20 faculty-led programs like the ones you talk about. Well, no, that's not true. Maybe closer to 7 or 10. Today we have 91 faculty-led programs. And when I say faculty-led, I mean programs that are led by UC professors. So professors you take courses with. Sometimes they do winter break, spring break trips where they'll take students abroad and actually internationalize their course, internationalize the curriculum, we say, right? Okay, so let's get into it. UC international programs. Okay, why is study abroad important? Okay, the academic and the intellectual, obviously you learn more about the world around you. You learn a foreign language, expand your knowledge in your field of study. You don't necessarily have to go abroad with the goal of learning a foreign language in mind. It's certainly important, but I think Timilolua, I can tell you, they call Singapore Asia's English-speaking country. So there's no reason for you to feel like you need to be able to speak one of the 1,000 local languages that they speak in order to travel to Singapore. So don't let that be a barrier. So learning more about the world around you, expanding your knowledge in your field of study. The professional. You want to gain a sense of direction for your future career. How many of you think you might want to work abroad someday? Okay, that's great. Usually I get about 2 people in the room that will raise their hand and say, yes, I want to work abroad. So I think that in itself makes you unique professionally, academically. In many ways you will stand out simply because you have that interest. All right, developing unique leadership skills. I can tell you, when I made the decision to study abroad, never even been in an airport, my first flight was to Dubai. Wrap your mind around that. And I come from Avondale. Okay, right across the way here. So imagine, but once I did that, once I accomplished that, I saw that as an accomplishment. Once I did that, it unlocked an area of my mind that I never thought possible. And all of a sudden, I wasn't afraid to do too much of anything anymore. Globalizing that resume. All right, if you're able to say, hey, I've installed solar panels in Ethiopia. We do have a faculty-led program that focuses on that, by the way, Dr. Greg Bokaj. Or I've had the opportunity to observe engineering practices in Scotland, in the UK. We have a program that focuses on that as well. The global technical workforce. That makes you stand out, all right? The professional contacts. Obviously, you meet people when you go abroad. I met Condoleezza Rice when I was in Bahrain. I don't know her personally, but I do have the picture to prove it. All right. Gaining an appreciation of your home country. Now, that's certainly a reality that I didn't expect that I would have. Bahrain is a hereditary monarchy. Now, this is in the Gulf. We all know the United Arab Emirates, the Gulf. This is the Arab world. It's a hereditary monarchy, which means there's a king. And there were certain things in Bahrain that were against the law. So, for example, here in America, I can say whatever I want about President Obama. If I don't agree with something, I can openly express my disapproval of a law, a policy, anything like that, right? I don't have to worry about necessarily what people will do or think. Well, in Bahrain, you're discouraged. It's not legal to openly criticize the king. You kind of just turn a blind eye. You might discuss it in your home, but in public, you don't really say what it is that you agree or disagree with, right? So this was difficult for me. I observed a lot of things that I didn't agree with. Gender roles, poverty, many things that I observed that were very different than what I had experienced here in the U.S., but it was not something that I was free to speak publicly about. That was very different. So you begin to appreciate freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, all right? Confidence, maturity is certainly part of it. A sense of personal identity, increasing your interest in other cultures, aware of cultural differences, becoming more culturally sensitive. I'd like to open it up. Young lady, you did Spain and Italy, correct? Can you talk a little bit about something culturally that you experienced there that was just different? And sometimes or anybody that has traveled abroad, just give me an example of something that was a little different. Or maybe you didn't too much notice that much. Maybe you didn't notice anything, and that's just as valid. That sometimes we... No, not too much going on? Could you drink the water out of the tap? Yeah, right. Some parts of the world you can't do that, right? I can tell you in Dubai, for example, and I tell this story because I think it's funny, but while in Dubai, it's very common to see men who are best friends. They hold hands. Do you hold your best friend's hand when you walk around? You know what I mean? So culturally, that was a little different for me to see all these grown men in the mall holding hands. I say, my dad doesn't do that. Well, I later learned, now, given that here, because I grew up in America, if you see something like that here on the street, you assume that that's a couple, right? Oh, they hold hands because, they've got something going on. Well, in that part of the world, it's the opposite. They're friends. It's more common to see the men holding hands than it is to see husband and wife. So I was just really perplexed by this. Anywho, well, I learned differently. I was educated about that. Somebody explained the cultural differences, and I was no longer shocked. Just certain things that may not necessarily be the same here, but can be very important for you. As you work in different cultures, you're going to need to know what's offensive, what's acceptable, what isn't. And many times people will turn down international opportunities, professional opportunities, because they fear they won't be able to adjust and adapt to the differences. But once you have that experience, you'll be able to adjust more easily than somebody who has never been abroad. Okay, so just some examples of some of our students that have gone abroad. All right, this is Rachel, an urban planning major who did a semester in Amsterdam. And that's another thing. We don't just do short-term faculty-led programs. Faculty-led programs usually go over spring break. They're about a week long. I have a weekend program that goes to Canada for those of you that just kind of need to get your feet wet and can't do a semester or a week right off the bat. I have options that are 4 and 6 weeks long that are usually language immersion programs. So there's a variety. But Rachel here did a semester. Wait a minute. All right, who can go abroad? And at UC, we like to say anybody can go abroad. We truly believe that, and we like to find ways to make it happen. That's why we have 91 faculty-led programs and counting. Some misconceptions. I rely on financial aid. I don't have any extra money set aside. Can I study abroad? How many of you think this is just not affordable? Be honest. That's most of the campus. Okay. Very cost-conscious campus. Okay. Study abroad can be affordable. Many programs cost the same amount as UC tuition. So, for example, we have what you call exchange programs. These are institutions abroad that we have signed agreements with. A great exchange partner for engineering majors like yourself is the University of Surrey or Nanyang Technological University. I know that Temiloluwa did that program. They have many engineering courses and courses that you would be interested in, courses that you would need in order to graduate here at UC. Okay? The great thing about exchanges is that they cost the same amount as UC tuition. So you can pay UC tuition while you go to this partner institution. That helps with budgeting, that takes away a lot of the guesswork, and now you're just trying to figure out housing and how you're going to get there. All right. UC International has study abroad grants you can apply for. So we have in our office our internal UC International grant for individual students. So those of you that might do long-term, semester, year-long. But then with faculty-led programs, our shorter-term programs, you get automatic scholarships. So the program you went on probably received an automatic block grant. Okay? There is plenty of money. As Mr. Simonson explained, there is plenty of money, and there's a huge initiative here at the university, a huge push for study abroad. So there is money. But many times students will self-select out, and they'll say, you know what, this is not affordable. But they haven't gone to any informationals, they haven't heard any presentations, and they're not aware that there's $500,000 plus on the campus, all dedicated to study abroad. So we're funding. You can say 80 to 85% of students that apply for the individual grants are funded, some amount. Okay? Financial aid can be used for most study abroad expenses. UC is unique in that it'll let you use your financial aid for credit-bearing study abroad experiences. So if you're earning credit, say you're going abroad for a semester, a week, but you're earning credit. Faculty-led programs are connected to a UC course, correct? So you earned, what, 3 credits? All right, which opens the door now. So if you receive any financial aid, Darwin T. Turner, Cincinnati, Pell Grants, loans, whatever it is that you're getting, some of that can be used possibly towards your financial aid. The lady you want to talk to about that is Livonia Purdue. Okay, that's our contact in the financial aid office for study abroad funds. All right, many colleges and departments have study abroad grants and scholarships. There are also external scholarships. So the Bourne Scholarship, the Gilman Scholarship is specifically for Pell Grant recipients. The State Department also has scholarships for STEM majors. So we want science majors to go abroad, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We can't usually convince those majors to study abroad, and so there are some scholarship initiatives out there to help with the push. Lauren is a great example of a student that sort of pulled out all the stops. She's had every trip except one fully funded through the UC International grant. She was in the honors program. She probably used a great deal of her financial aid and applied for some external scholarships. I need to graduate on time. Won't study abroad delay that. Who's concerned about delaying graduation? Nobody? That's good. All right. So the great thing about UC or any study abroad funding that you're going to apply for, internal or external, you have to be earning credit. You're not going to be able to use federal funds or apply for any scholarships if you're not earning credit. Is that right, Temiloluwa? You won't be able to apply for most scholarships if you're not earning credit, correct? Had to show the courses you would take before they gave you the money. So that takes away this issue of, well, I'm not earning credit, so I can't fund backpacking through Europe. Okay, if you're just kind of having fun, vacation, okay. But if you're earning credit, I can help you find ways to pay for that. All right? Who would be more interested in a faculty-led program, something shorter term than a semester? Raise your hand if you would prefer something short term. Right? Who wants to do a semester? A year? A year? I get at least 2. Okay. This is a cool one. Field study. There's also field study. And what is that? That is, I call it the practical application of what you've been learning in the classroom abroad. So the Department of Geology for many years now has run a trip to the Himalayas. You see they've got their ears to the ground, whatever geologists do. There's some sort of research going on there. They earn credit to do those kinds of things. Another example would be the solar panel in Africa course that Dr. Bokaj does in Ethiopia. That's a good example. So field study, ways to sort of bring your major to life. My major is specific with little flexibility. Are there options for me? And this is probably the most common question that we get from STEM majors. There are no engineering courses abroad. I have heard that before. I kid you not. I've been doing this for a while. No engineers in Singapore. So the major is very specific, little flexibility. That is what short-term faculty-led programs, that's where those can be useful. If you can go over spring break, if you can go over winter break, Maymester. It doesn't have to be a semester for it to be credit-bearing. There are many options. Again, exchanges. So if you hook up with the University of Surrey, who has a very, very strong presence in the sciences, you have a better chance of finding those suitable courses, but it does take some research. Students from every major study abroad, that's very true. You need to involve UC international programs. You need to involve your academic advisor. And again, you can go during break. It doesn't have to be a semester. Derek Vogel is one of my favorite. Now, he did international co-op in Germany, and that's another option that you guys have. The locations are limited. So they're in Germany, Japan. I think they're trying to open up some opportunities in other places. Temiloluwa did the Singapore internship experience. I think they now are trying to start a location in Australia as well. So there are other ways to go abroad. It's not just the International Programs Office or my office that's doing it, but International Co-op. And also the Propel, or the new co-op office, they now have the Singapore internship experience. They are expanding. These are paid opportunities, in case you were wondering. So those tend to be pretty attractive to students. I don't speak a foreign language, so my options are limited. Who's concerned about this? Nobody concerned? Well, great. Were you concerned about that? Okay, I get it. I understand completely. I can tell you most places around the world you're going to be able to find English speakers, especially if you're talking about working in formal places of business. I probably took a semester or two of Arabic before I went to Dubai. I went to Dubai for language immersion and discovered when I got there, unfortunately, that the population was mostly British and American expatriates. So I did not have that many opportunities to speak Arabic. But Jordan is probably where I had the most contact with the language, opportunity to practice. And of course, there are English-speaking countries. Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, Ghana, Botswana, many English-speaking countries that we don't know about. I'm not an experienced traveler. Do I have to study abroad alone? Who would prefer to go with a group? See, not me. I'm more of a loner. I like to do my own thing, all by myself. I have never done a faculty-led program. I've always been sort of a backpacker, see where the wind goes. Most UC students, though, maybe close to 85% of UC students choose faculty-led study abroad programs. That's why we have 91 in county. Most just cannot wrap their mind around the semester or the year long. But I will say this, when students choose to do longer term, semester, year-long experiences, that opens up the door for more scholarship options and higher amounts. So Gilman, for example, likes not only Pell Grant recipients, but they like long-term experiences, correct, Temiloluwa? They like certain countries. Non-traditional locations, right? So everybody wants to go to the UK, right? But people aren't flocking to Jordan or Botswana or just countries that are kind of off the beaten path. So the more unique you are in terms of your choices, in terms of what you're interested in, that increases opportunity. I can tell you, I think part of the reason I landed that internship with the State Department and was working in the embassy in Bahrain is because they were, what does she want to come here for? Most want to go to Spain, but I think I may have been the only application for that semester, and that helped me stand out. So you don't have to go by yourself. If you want, most UC students want to go with a group. They do the faculty-led experience, and then as they grow, they begin to do both. They'll do semester, they will do faculty-led, all kinds. I always like this one. Amanda was a nutrition major, studied abroad in Italy. Perfect. And just another example of some of the unique things students do. Some of you may not want to go with the group. Who's more of an independent traveler? Okay, good. Will McElwain studied abroad several times while here at UC, received many prestigious external scholarships, all the internal scholarships here at UC, financial aid, you name it. He's now a Wrangell Fellow and on his way to the State Department, I believe. But he's been to Morocco, Tunisia, France, did a year in France, all while he was a student here at UC. Graduated, all of the credits transferred back. There's a process to make this happen. So, who's concerned about safety? Not too many people. Oh, come on now. You go to school in Clifton. Come on. I can tell you, Jordan is wedged in between Syria, Iraq, Israel. Never had any concerns whatsoever. I was safer there than I would have been in Avondale. I'll just be honest with you. Now, there are some places right now you cannot go. Syria, for example, is in the middle of civil war. So we're not sending students there. Honduras, probably not. But there are other places around the world. We have a very, very strict, very, very efficient process that we use to gauge the safety of different locations. We're not just sending students everywhere, but I can tell you most places are going to be safe, and if not, we will communicate that to you. If your parents have concerns, we're willing to talk to them as well in the pre-departure orientation at the first-timer sessions. Just let me know what it is that you need. We have many resources to help you stay informed about what's happening. State Department alerts, OSAC, the International Travel Oversight Committee. We're constantly watching. All day I'm looking at the news to find out where are our students and where are dangerous things happening. Most places have been pretty safe. Otherwise, we wouldn't send students there. Does study abroad always mean sitting in the classroom overseas? Absolutely not. Right here in the engineering, the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences, you have two very strong faculty-led study abroad programs that are very, very practical. One where you physically install solar panels in rural communities. The other where you're physically traveling around Scotland, Oban, different parts of Scotland, observing the global technical workforce. There's international co-op, study tours, field studies, clinical experiences, all kinds of things you can do to help bring your major to life. We have students that teach abroad, teach English abroad. Again, if you want to go somewhere that's off the beaten path, not really, it's not UK, it's not Germany, it's not France, it's not the top 3 countries that everybody has chosen for the past 30 years to study abroad in, that's fine. Come and talk to us. We like to hear unique locations and places. This is Caitlin. She did Egypt, Cyprus. So the 5 W's. Who can study abroad? Anyone. What will I study? Anything. Where can you go? Anywhere. When can you go? Anytime. Plan early. Planning early is key. Who agrees with that? especially my veterans, my study abroad veterans. You know how much work it takes. Why should I do this? Why not? Okay, so we've talked a little bit about, obviously we've got a new study abroad website. I'm going to demonstrate and show you guys how that works. The first step in making study abroad reality for any of you is to attend a first-timer session. Is that correct, study abroad veterans? Okay, the first-timer sessions take place, please write this down if you're serious. Monday through Friday, or put it in your phone, however you do it, whatever's easiest. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. Got a question? 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. in room 709, Swift Hall. Now, at the first-timer session, it's free information. You're not being signed up for anything, not being forced to purchase a plane ticket. It's just information. We're going to tell you about the scholarships, your different program options. We're going to help you start the research process. Please do not go out there and Google engineering abroad. You're going to get all kinds of programs, reputable and some not. Use your study abroad office because we know what scams are and what is reputable, okay? What has a good reputation, what works for students, what has worked for our students in the past, especially our STEM students, right? But you have a very regimented curriculum. You kind of know what you're going to take from one year to the next. We want to help you work with that. So please do not go out there and Google stuff. All right, every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. or 2 p.m., room 709 Swift Hall. There will be an advisor there each time to answer any questions you have. It might be a group of people, might just be you there on a particular day. It's pretty cold outside, so you might get some one-on-one time if you go and attend a first-timer session. But that is where you should start. Timmy, Loluwa, would you like to talk a little bit about what the first-timer session was like? Right? Right. 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 And that's important, making an informed decision about your program, not going out there and Googling engineering abroad. You want the right information and the right opportunity. We talked a little bit about financial aid, the scholarships, the grants, the money you can save. The first-timer session is where you can get a very detailed breakdown of how to budget, how to save money. This is the first step. All right. The Study Abroad office is located in 3134 Edwards Center 1, but we just host the first-timer sessions in a more centralized part of campus so that it's accessible to students. Okay, so here are the first-timer sessions. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we do have a listserv. If you'd like to be added to the listserv, you can email global@uc.edu and say, hey, I'd like to be added to the listserv. That's a great way to stay informed. It's one email a week. Tells you about some of the new programs that we're offering, the new scholarships. Hey, here's a great opportunity for engineering students. The Study Abroad Fair has passed. Who had the opportunity to see that October 9th Study Abroad Fair? Can somebody just kind of tell me what your experience was like? You?
Well, when I went, it was just a bunch of tables for the students to get involved in, whatever major you were in.
Mm-hmm.
They also had some international clubs, I think the Thailand club and French club was there as well.
Right.
And they also had the international office.
International.
They students asked questions, each representatives from the programs outside of the
Okay, was that helpful to see what the university offers? Many, many, many opportunities. You went as well? What was your experience there?
It was pretty similar. I looked at a lot of the programs to try to find one that related to
Engineering? Okay. And many programs have the engineering courses. It may not be an engineering school, but you do have access to engineering courses. How many of you have a passport? Oh, that's great. That's most of the room. If you don't have one, shoot me an email, global@uc.edu. Passport Day is coming up this fall. I have to get the date. The date is on the listserv, but we can help you process your passport right here on campus. We bring passport officials, U.S. Department of State certified passport officials from the Cincinnati Library. They come to campus, help you with the application, collect the fees from you, and it's all right here, so you don't have to go to your local post office. Okay? So there are resources. Questions? Dorian, you went to Ecuador, didn't you? Dorian here went on one of my programs to Ecuador that focuses on culture and education, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? Sorry to put you on the spot. Oh, you're one of the speakers. Oh, okay, good. So we got Dorian and some other one. Okay. So again, engineering major? MET. MET major, went on a study abroad that focused on education and culture. I've got a children's media in Ireland program. Oh my goodness. As I said, there are 91. The best thing to do too, we've got a new, very nice website. Study abroad at .uc.edu. Right here. An interactive map. Let's go to Europe here. Let's go to up here. Go to Oban. What program do we have? Exploring the global technical workforce in Scotland. This is Professor Eugene Rutz's program, engineering focus. Deadline, November 21st. You can go through, you can see who the course is for, where you'll stay, some pictures. It gives you an overview of the program, where it's located, who can participate, juniors, seniors, grad students, the universities that you'll be working with locally, the faculty that teach the course and their international experiences, where you'll live, where you'll go, cost, and then information about financial aid, scholarships, passports, and visas. Health and safety abroad, it's all there. This is your website. It's here for you. And you can kind of search around. You can use the map, or you can go to Easy Route and just view the list. I have another nice program, Botswana, Service Learning in Gaborone. That deadline is coming up, and we're trying to get more people to choose that program. Some are focused on nursing, some are language immersion. It's all here. Our exchanges, our faculty-led programs, our long-term programs, semester-long, year-long, all there, okay?
おはようございます。はじめまして。お名前はエンバー・ジェームズです。22歳です。シンシナティ大学の学生です。4年生です。専攻はコンピュータ科学です。よろしくお願いします。And this is the saying that you would say when you generally meet basically your host family or employers, you know, whoever is really, really important when you go over to Japan, you would introduce yourself and you would hand them a business card. So here's my experience in Japan. I had hundreds of clips, so I just tried to choose the top few. And so this is just a picture of traditional Japanese houses. They're slanted in that way. From my understanding, it's because they're to draw away bad spirits. That's why they're curved. In Japan, some of the most prominent modes of transportation are train and bicycle. Cars are there, but they're very expensive and limited. This is traditional Japanese bedding. Basically, I slept on this. You would roll it out and... Oops. It's not... I'm on the wrong thing. Sorry. This is Japanese mode of transportation. I'm sorry. Thank you, Dr. Dunn. This is traditional Japanese bedding. Basically, you roll it out. It's a mattress, and you sleep on it. And it's on a tatami mat, which is like a bamboo woven flooring. This is in one of the biggest fish markets in Japan, the Ueno Fish Market, and it's literally humongous. Who's over 6 foot? Anybody? If you're over 6 feet, you'll see above everybody in the crowd. I promise. You won't ever get lost. And it's fresh. It's caught every single day. This is a pet shop that I found in Ueno Market, and they have puppies and kittens, and they range from $3,000 to $5,000 a piece. Yeah, this little guy, what was it, 3,000 American dollars. So in Japan, one of the most prominent traditions is to bring an omiyage gift to your host family or to your workplace when you travel. So they have all these kinds of packagings in every single rail station, and they're done up really well. You'll actually have displays like this. They're actually made of wax. There's a village in Japan that's basically what they outsource. They make wax figures of food. And they're very realistic and they're very adorable. This is the Torii. It's located in Miwajima. It's actually one of the most well-known structures in Japan. If you see a lot of the brands here in America that are in any way Japanese related, they'll have the Torii on it, and it's actually a gate. It's several stories tall. There's people, this is low tide, and it's well over their own height. This is a Hello Kitty store. I figured everybody would want to see it. Yes, Japan is obsessed with Hello Kitty. Everything in the store was Hello Kitty, and it was in Miwajima, so this is near the Torii Gate. This is the bamboo forest. It's located about maybe 10 minutes outside of Kyoto. In the bamboo forest, there's tons of shrines. Actually, they stated in the tour that there are Shinto monks and different Buddhist priests who will go and they'll meditate in this forest and they'll watch the bamboo grow because it actually grows that fast. This is it's outside the bamboo forest. It actually is this big valley, and it overlooks just kayaks and rocks, and it's everything, so I like that picture. Even though Japan's population density is much greater than what we have currently in Cincinnati, they still preserve their wildlife and their nature. And yes, you can pet the deer. They will come right up to you. They are humanized. They are in Miwajima and they are in Nara. This is Nara, it was going to be the capital of Buddhist culture. They had a big temple that they had built, and it's the biggest temple in Japan, has the biggest Buddha in Japan, and it was meant to be that spot, kind of like the, what is it for the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, where he lives? Yeah, thank you. I think I have a picture of it. These are more deer. I like deer. This is a woman. She's actually a Japanese bride. She's about to go get married. They actually have like 2 different sets of kimonos. They have one that's a little colorful that they take pictures with, and they have one that's, if it's a traditional Japanese wedding, that's pure white and that they actually wear to the wedding itself. And I was actually lucky. This is it's a picture of a Japanese wedding. My host family had taken me to a temple, and this was the actual only time that they had ever seen a Japanese wedding outdoors besides their own wedding. And my Japanese homestay they were both like 60 and 70 years old. So that's saying a lot. The girl that you see right here, she's actually a priestess. And then over here, you can't really see him very well, but he's a priest. And they are doing a traditional Japanese ceremony where they're offering up gifts to, I guess, their ancestors. I'm not quite sure. But here are the gifts that they would give. This is a picture of the Nara Temple, the temple I was mentioning before. It's supposedly the largest temple in Japan, and it houses the largest Buddha in Japan. People will step over this. This is in many temples. It's considered bad luck if you step on it, bad mojo. So I thought that was an interesting thing, because if you're a gaijin or a foreigner and you step on it, they'll give you weird looks, like you're crazy. That's a bad picture, but that's one of the statues that was in the Buddhist temple. That's a demon god. I think he's thunder. I'm not quite sure. I forget what my tour guide said. These are Buddha's feet, and they're supposed to bring peace and serenity. These were really interesting. We had to go into a deep cave, and they're lining the walls everywhere, and each one is a prayer for a child who's either lost or who the parent thinks is having issues. So it's deep into a cave, and I don't know if we were supposed to be back there, honestly. This is really cute. So in Japan, they have a lot of traditional wear that you may, if you were to see it here in America, would be considered like Halloween garb. But this is actually traditional. If you were to go to a temple, you would see mothers and their children like that. Or you would see, oh shoot, go down. Or you would see monks or priests, and I have a picture of a monk here. And yes, they do shave their head. I'm not quite sure what he was. I'm thinking that he was somebody who was of holy stature, but I may be wrong. And here's the Japanese houses that I wasn't showing you before. Okay. So when I was in Japan, I stayed with my host family, and if you ever go abroad, you definitely want to stay with a host family. They will feed you very well. Feed you very, very well, so much so that you want to throw up. So my host family took me to Kamakura, which is a big temple, and this Buddha, as you can see, is well taller than I. They actually used to own their own candy company, which is very famous in Japan. You probably haven't heard of it, but they have, I don't know, millions and millions of dollars invested in that company. So it's a chocolate company / cake company. So if you ever go to a train station, you would definitely see their sweets. Does anybody, did you already talk about ICP?
Yes, that's all.
Okay. Does anybody want to know about ICP? Is anybody interested? Okay. I got another hand. All right, so whether you're interested in ICP for Spain or Germany or Japan, you can totally do it. You would want to sign up during your sophomore year. You would have to take extra Japanese classes or German classes, depending on where you decide to go. And actually, if you're interested in Japan, the Japan Studies Tour, I talked to Ms. Gail Elliott. She's extended the deadline, if you're interested, to basically tomorrow for anybody who's in the E3 program. It's the 2-week program that I just showed you. She would tour you around Japan. You guys can get to know it a little better and see if you're actually interested in the ICP program. But the ICP program, you basically will go and you'll find a company that is international, and you'll apply to them, and you'll go, and if it's Germany, you definitely do an interview, whether it's over the phone or in person. If it's Japan, it's more informal, because Japanese culture is very much so about connections, so they trust that Ms. Gail Elliott is going to send only the best students to that company. So they'll just accept your application, and that's if you get in the program. To get into the program, you need a 3.0 GPA, and you have to pass a series of courses. I've already taken maybe a year and a half of Japanese, and I'm going over to Japan in January, and I'm taking a 6-week course where it's basically every single day for, I think, 8 hours a day, and it's an intensive language course. German programs do the same thing, but it's at UC on campus, so it's very intensive. Does anybody have any specific questions about the ICP program? I know I didn't cover it fully in detail. No? Okay. You already talked about scholarships. And I have some cool Japanese videos if you're interested. I don't know. Does anybody want to watch one real quick? Okay. All right. Well, if you have any questions, see me afterwards. Many of you know me. And thank you for your time.
All right, what's going on, everyone? My name is Dorian Durant, fourth year MET student. Recently, during the past spring semester, I did study abroad, a faculty-led trip to Ecuador, and I went through two cities, Quito and Otavalo. This was my first time doing this type of thing, leaving the country. First person I went to was Brittany, and I pretty much just picked out her mind like how to get grants and funding for the trip. And she gave me some info and led me to different sources. So yeah, it was a good experience. It was during the spring break, and throughout that time I taught at 6 different schools, grade schools and high schools, teaching basic English as well as math, as well as working with students who had disabilities. Here's some pictures here. Some of these students had trouble reading or comprehending. Some had tumors, which made them unable to do certain things like the other students. So we sat there and we pretty much helped them develop those skills along with the teachers, as well as you had time to go out and pretty much survey the area and just pretty much explore. We had a broken down agenda each day where after we taught, we had free time to go do whatever we want. They usually gave us options. Like here, we went to go see a waterfall as well as hiking up a trail. First time seeing a waterfall in person, and that's sugar cane. First time having that. That's like wet wood and you chew on it. That's what a lot of the people did. As well as some of the restaurants we went to. As I said, we hiked up a huge trail. It was like 10,000 meters. And yeah, I was tired. Low-key, I almost turned around and went back. But, I'm halfway there. I might as well keep going. Throughout the time we were there, oh yeah, this was a nice view. I felt bougie a little bit, But, so like I said, each day after we had an agenda, we went through that. You would get up at around 8 in the morning, get on a bus and head out to whichever designated school you were supposed to teach at. Spend around 4 hours there. After that, you go have lunch, and a lot of the lunches and dinners and stuff, it was fresh. It was like what you would compare to here, what you would pay a large amount of money for to get a nice meal. That's what they eat there. That's their norm. So like steaks and everything, they don't preserve stuff. It's killed and cooked that same day. So it was definitely quality. A lot of the fruit drinks that they drink a lot of smoothies there, like what we consider smoothies. The fruit drinks, they always blend all of their fruits freshly. Only problem was the water. You couldn't just go out and drink water anywhere. You had to make sure it was bottled water. Besides that, everything else was pretty nice. Let me see. So yeah, like I said, this is my first time leaving the country. It was a good eye-opening experience. Some of the kids, like some of the stuff we take here for granted, you're exposed to over there. Some of the kids that we taught, they walked 30 to 45 minutes every day to get to class. Wore the same clothes. A lot of people didn't own cars over there. It was pretty rural. And let's say it started raining. Here we have an umbrella. There they would have to use part of a tree, like a plant, like the leaf. They had overgrown leaves over there, and they would use that as an umbrella. Or if it wasn't large enough for both of them, the older sibling would use it as a shield for the younger one, and then they would just be walking around in the rain wet. So it definitely exposed you to a lot that you take for granted here, as well as the kids. They were funny, really energetic, asked a lot of questions. Here we were we traveled up another mountain. We were hiking, and we met a guy who created his own clothing. And inside of each one of these little baskets is a collection of bugs of a specific color. So he would group all of those together and add water and mash them. And that's how he would get the dye for the cloths that he had. Let me see. Over there, they eat guinea pig. It's called kui. I tried some, and it's interesting. Yeah, it's fried. I mean, it made it. It was a little bit better, but I'm over there. I might as well try some. I want to come here and like warm it up or eat it every day, but let me see. Yeah, it's the whole body too. We also had an event where we collected like one of like this food that's on this large leaf. We went out and pulled those off of trees, and inside of this food, it's flour, raisins, sugar, and some other seasonings. So it sort of looked like a pancake batter. So we would pour that into the leaf and fold it, and we did maybe 5 or 6 of them and laid them in a tray and let them cook at a certain temperature until it solidified. And this is considered like their candy, their sweets. It's pretty healthy. It's pretty good. I tried to take some home, but couldn't do that. Let me see what else. This is one of the kids I taught. Her name was Diana. She was paralyzed on the right side of her body. But besides that, like mentally, she was on point. She knew how to solve problems, develop sentences correctly. She was just handicapped. She was energetic. It was a point in the classroom we were all by ourselves, and they were trying to like elbow drop me and stuff, and I had to work them. But it just exposed you to a lot that you take for granted. If I could recommend you do anything, at least a week-long spring break trip. Like Brittany said, there is a lot of funding out there. You just have to go out there and do it. I know there's some essays that you can fill out and submit to get funding. Just make sure you check out all the routes of where you can get funding, because it's definitely an experience you'll want to do. At first I didn't want to. I did, but then as it got closer, I sort of wanted to back out, but I'd already, once they take your money, it's like, okay, I might as well go ahead and do it. So, any questions? That's it.
I was just going to say, would you do it again?
Yeah, I would. Oh, and over there they barter. So all their marketplaces, they everybody sets up like a pop-up shop, and all the stuff that they're selling is handmade. So they spend however much time they do carving and doing all those things in order to sell products to the foreigners, us. And they it's bartering. So they throw you out a price, pretty much the highest price. You got to lowball it. They try to sell me this here for I think like $30. I said, I got 10. Can you go 15? I can go 12. Boom, $12. Stuff like that. So they have everything from pieces like this to they had what is it called? A guitar, and the shell of it was an armadillo shell, and we couldn't buy that and bring it back because it's illegal. You can't. I don't know what specifically it is, but you can't bring back anything made with animals that were killed. But They also sold like a lot of the, for spring break in Cancun, Mexico, a lot of the fedora or the hats that people have. A lot of those companies, that's where they outsource a lot of their work because it's cheap. So a lot of those good quality hats come from South America, and for dirt cheap, and then they pretty much hike up the prices here to make profit. So yeah, it was a good experience. I'll definitely do it again.
We're talking about cost for it, and initially it seems like it's a lot of money, right? You make your deposits, but talk about the cost of living in Ecuador.
As a college student, with my refund check, like over there, I felt like I was rich. We stayed in hostels. I think, from what I remember, it cost maybe $10 to $12 per day to stay there. The meals were extremely cheap. It was maybe like $4 for like a plate of like steak and just a full plate of food. Yeah, the American dollar over there is really strong. So if you were to move over there and make like $40,000 to $50,000 a year, you would live pretty nicely. Pretty nice. Any other questions?